All right, let's do this. I just spent the last 30 minutes trying to figure out how to get the wind noise, excuse me, out of my tablet. So right now, my tablet's in a box, wrapped in a blanket, and I'm pretty sure you can still hear the wind noise. But what can I do? I really like this spot. I mean, the first one I did, it was outside. I like that. I did it while the sun was coming up. It was really cool. It was on the 1st of November. Didn't post it till the 6th. And, I mean, really, who cares anyway? I keep thinking a lot of stuff's been rolling around in my head the last few days. And I really want to address the concept of artificial intelligence. And that's made my mind actually confront real human intelligence. Made me think. And then I've been presented with a few things the last couple days. Woke up, checked Facebook this morning. As I said, it's 5 in the morning. I fell asleep about 10:30. Crazy thing is, the last 3 weeks I haven't been able to sleep more than 4 hours a night. I mean, my mind's just running like a machine, which is kind of the theme of what I'm going to talk about here. Now, I'm afraid that I'm going to be as disjointed as a William Burroughs book, which I don't want to. I'd rather be more connected and have a flow like Nietzsche's "Thus spoke Zarathustra," which I mentioned in my first talk. A lot more linear. William Burroughs, not linear. But you got to consider the guy was a junkie. Heterosexual that actually practiced homosexual sex while he was a junkie for, who knows what reason. I mean, the books are quite interesting. I mean, the Beat Generation is pretty interesting, but if you ask me, they're kind of twisted too. It's kind of a shame that they were such good writers, because so many people liked them and so many people followed them, and they thought it was a good thing to, be hedonistic. And I don't like hedonism. It's just, party, party, party. That's life. And that might be good for some people. Maybe that's what it's about. Maybe that's how you enjoy life. Maybe that's how some people enjoy life. Me, can't do it. Can't do it. I did. I've been a drug addict. I've been an alcoholic. I followed those paths because I guess maybe, God or the universe or humanity needed me to do that. I don't know. At the time, I wasn't thinking about that stuff. I just wanted to get high. I just wanted to get drunk. I wanted to beat myself up. Which makes me think of another book that I read. Masochism in Modern Man. There's by Theodore Reich. Theodore Reich was a psychologist or psychiatrist. One or the other. I mean, the only difference is one can write prescriptions and actually has to go through medical training, which is a psychiatrist. I mean, psychiatrist has to go through the whole cadaver thing. Just like a doctor, a real doctor. They go to college, they have to cut up dead people. They have to look at their insides and get to know them. So, when people go to the hospital, they can fix them. Psychologists, they just study the mind. I mean, hell, half the stuff psychologist studies and gets a degree in, we don't really even know about. Which gets me to what I want to talk about, which is artificial intelligence. A friend of mine, Adam, made a point with me the other day. And it was basically an expression of fear, which is a fear I think a lot of people have, of artificial intelligence, of AI. Now, I've been a technician since the day I was born. Of course, I didn't know it until about 30 years ago. Didn't know that I had the ability to look at things, examine them, actually made jokes as a professional phone man working for an interconnect, as just a technician, a job. Because I can work a job. I can follow orders. I can follow rules. I haven't always been an asshole. But I learned I could actually get inside the machine. I could use my intellect to solve the problem. This is a great skill to have, to be able to think. So many people don't do it. They don't think. And I can't blame them. It's not their fault. There's all these distractions. You know, you got sports, you got drinking, you got Ybor City, you know, you got St. Pete Beach. You know, I mean, there's all these things you can do that are fun. And if you lean towards your animal, if you just, you know, pay attention to just your animal inside, and you don't pay any attention to the man inside, then those things are going to be fun. You know? But what a lot of people don't understand is, what does that do to people like me? That think, that see shit, that see people fucking themselves all over the place. You know, I tell people sometimes that it's real hard for me. You know, I can't stand it when people call other people stupid. It just bothers me, especially when it's pointed. When they point at somebody and they say, "Oh, that person's stupid." And I've told people over and over again, everybody's smart about something. I mean, even if it's about Buccaneer statistics, you know, even if it's about baseball statistics. I mean, even if it's about, you know, crafting cute little things that people enjoy, making toys, you know. They don't know anything about philosophy. They don't know anything about science. They don't know anything about being a freaking doctor. But they're smart about something. Everybody is smart about something. You know, and I feel lucky that what was given to me by the universe was the ability and the desire to find the good things in people. I look for what I like. Everybody's an asshole somehow. You know? I mean, it depends on the circumstances. It depends on what you're faced with, what you have to address, what presents itself. What makes you think? And if you're not thinking, do you really respond properly? If you never put anything in there, you got no references. You got nothing to go on. If you've never been a reader, if you don't read, you know, and this is the beauty of technology. I started out talking about artificial intelligence, okay? The technology we have today is wonderful. It does have a downside, but it's absolutely wonderful. I'm standing here talking to a tablet. You know, and if you're watching it, I mean, for all I know, nobody's going to see this. You know, I mean, and you know what? I don't care. I don't care if anybody sees it. If one person sees it and one person gets one little tidbit of knowledge out of it, I'm a happy man. It would bring me joy to think that I made somebody think something that they wouldn't have thought if they hadn't watched me standing here bullshitting. So there's an upside. I said before, I can't type. On my tablet and my phone, I use swiping programs when I got a text. Because I know where the keys are, but my hand-eye coordination just doesn't do that. Plus I have this, you know, that kind of makes it hard to type. You know, that was stupid. I haven't even mentioned cutting off my finger with a motorcycle chain. You know, that was a day I wasn't thinking. I thought I was thinking. What it really was I was in a hurry. I was in a hurry. I just wanted to get past it. You know, wanted to clean the motorcycle chain. Somebody else stole my other motorcycle, my first motorcycle. Stole it out of my brother's front yard while I was sleeping. Didn't have any wheels for 3 months. And I think I was 21 or 22 years old, something like that. I don't know. But first motorcycle I ever had, got stolen. Got a deal. 3 months later, some guy selling a used Kawasaki 650, KZ 650. Nice bike. I really liked that bike. That was a fun bike to ride. It accelerated like some bitch. But the guy that owned it before me never cleaned the chain. Didn't maintain it. Maintenance is important. I might talk about that later. But he didn't clean the chain, so I had to clean the chain. Now, the guy did lube it, but a lot of people do know that chain lube, when you got a motorcycle chain, pain in the ass. You got to address that motorcycle chain like every 2 weeks if you really want to take care of your motorcycle. That's why I like the belt that I had on my last bike that I had to sell to keep the lights on for my mom. But that chain had so much molly, had so much molly on it that it was white. Because the chemical molybdenum, the molybdenum in the chain oil was actually in there to keep the oil stuck to the chain. Which is kind of weird because oil's not sticky. I mean, that's the whole purpose of oil. But then they add the chemical molybdenum to keep the oil on the chain. But the thing is in between lubing the chain and put more oil on it, you got to clean the chain. I spent the last week cleaning up after myself. Just because what happens when you smoke weed daily for about 3 years? You get lethargy. You get lazy as shit. You don't do nothing. You think everything's okay. Then you put your glasses on, you quit smoking weed, you clear your mind, and you realize you see all this shit that you haven't done, that you've just been putting off, you've been procrastinating. So, last couple weeks, I've been doing a lot of stuff that's, gone undone. Well, now I'm doing it. Which is a good thing because I'm getting a sense of accomplishment. And I'm not depressed. Feeling up, feeling high. Feeling higher than I ever could feel smoking weed or taking pills. Artificial intelligence. Sorry, let's get back to the point, Dave. Artificial intelligence. I hear people talk to me about, they're afraid artificial intelligence is going to take over and whatever. Now, really popular movie, The Terminator. Great movie, fun movie. I love action movies. I mean, they're my favorite movies to watch. And I think I accepted a long time ago that the best action movies, it ain't the ones with the most explosions. It ain't the most car crashes, or cars going off of bridges. The best action movies are the ones where they break a lot of glass. Glass breakage. As long as they can incorporate glass breakage into the picture, everybody's going to have fun. And then the car crashes and the explosions and the gunshots and people dying and blood flying everywhere and, crazy shit that doesn't happen for real. There's a disconnect some people have. I've talked to Fabian about this. It's really been cool living here with Fabian because I get to bounce things off of him and he bounces things off of me, and he takes me places in my mind that I couldn't go by myself. And I'm glad we're brothers. A lot of people have fears about artificial intelligence. But I want to tell you, I am going the William Burroughs route. It's non-linear, but let's just do it. My friend Joni, she writes stories on Facebook, little stories, and I love it. And I love it because I know she writes those stories. She doesn't write them for me. She doesn't write them for you. She doesn't write them for anybody but herself. Which is a good thing because it's a release. And what that does is it makes it damn near impossible for her to feel sorry for herself. And when I met with her on Saturday, this woman has my utmost admiration. Because I can tell, the vibe that I pick up from her is she has no self-pity. She does not feel sorry for herself. And she's got her hands full taking care of her husband and her father. That's a hard thing to do. I had my hands full just taking care of my mom for 3 years. Joni's been doing it longer than that. And she just took on her dad not that long ago. She's been taking care of her husband for a long time. It's a hard thing to do. You know, and it's not just the physical things. It's not just the making the food, the cleaning up, the making sure there's somebody to talk to. I mean, hell, that's probably the most important thing. It's emotional stress. It's what you have to visit on a daily basis. It's what you have to see, because you don't want to watch people deteriorate. You don't want to watch people lose their minds. You don't want to watch people gradually lose their muscle power, and they can't walk, and they can't grab things, and they can't see things. It's sad. But I don't feel sorry for Joni. I won't. I can't. But I admire her courage. And that needs to be said. That needs to be said. The heroes in this world, they really need to be recognized for what they're doing that's heroic. You know? I mean, sure, soldiers are heroic. Firemen are heroic. I mean, there are noble occupations in this world that you can do. But you know, the people that are over on the side, you know, that we don't really pay attention to, are getting beat up emotionally. And at the same time, they're developing their intelligence because they're understanding things that only they can understand. People that have never lost their parents, people whose parents are still alive. Hell, some people my age still have their grandparents. I was just talking to a friend of mine the other day, Jerry. It was really cool because I sent Jerry a message, and I wanted him to check out my studio. Well, he video called me. It was great. It was a surprise. It's the first time anybody's ever really done that. You know, I mean, now the video calling is so easy. You know, it's easy. You just got to push that button. I mean, you used to have to set things up. I used to have to set up ISDN lines in conference rooms. There was no internet. You know, we had phone lines. We had frame relay for computers, because there were computers. I worked in a Radio Shack. We used to have to do batch processing every day. At the end of the day, we had to run a batch, and what it did was it made a phone call to headquarters in Texas, I think, and it would upload all the transactions from the day, and then it would send back, you know, updates for the computer. But our terminals were what they called dumb terminals, Weiss terminals. Rudimentary form of communication for computers, not packets. Actually, still analog technology. Computers worked on analog technology when they started. But we had dumb terminals. Now, I've been fixing things for Napa for 20 years, since 1999. I actually watched them go from dumb terminals to the internet, to now having multiple devices all over the place that are all connected to the internet. Credit card machines, printers, and who knows what else. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that's coming. Because it's coming. It's coming. You can't stop it. The technology's coming. Technology's part of us. Technology is human. But it's still just a tool. Back to artificial intelligence. And Joni. Joni's got one of the biggest hearts I've ever seen. And it was a joy to visit Joni. Now you tell me, do you think that an artificial intelligence will ever be able to replicate that? I'm 56 years old. All this stuff's in my head. I'm spilling it. This is stream of consciousness stuff. Wasn't sure I could do it. Wasn't sure my thoughts could be cogent enough for me to actually just speak and talk about it. 56 years old. All this thoughts in my head. And hell, I really haven't read that much. I mean, I would say that everything I've read probably the last 3 or 4 years has been on the internet. And I have read a lot of stuff on the internet. Now, it's really weird because I'm trying to do this looking at myself. So if I'm not looking at the camera and I'm looking over here, then please don't get confused. I would gamble I've probably read near 5,000 books in my lifetime. It's not that hard to read. You know, I've read some shit. I've read some crap. I mean, I've read some stuff that I put down, you know, read halfway through and said, nah, I can't read this anymore, and I wish I hadn't read that first part. And then I've read other things that I'm glad I didn't pass by. Glad I opened that book, because from the first page to the end, was a joy. Enlightening stuff. See, that's what a person can do that a machine can't do. Can't be enlightened. Enlightenment's a hard thing. And it's kind of funny for me because stuff that's happened in my life, which some of you know about, most of you don't. Well, the 3 people that are watching. Enlightenment is certainly something that a machine will never ever be able to do. Now, I got to get back to the whole thing about the machines. I've been working with machines for 30 years. I've watched them develop. But you know what a lot of people seem to forget? Because they've seen that movie, The Terminator, or they've seen Ex Machina, or, you know, any other, you know, movie, story, fiction. Fiction, people. Fiction. Got to draw the line between what's real and what's not real. Okay? You can't let yourself be subliminally programmed to think that there's shit that's going to hurt you if you're not scared. Because the whole thing is the fear is what drives you. The fear is what makes you not think. And like I said, I have a hard time finding stupid. But I can find ignorance all day long. People ignore things all day long. You know, and it's not just people, it's things. I mean, it's phenomenon. It's stimulus. It's things in the world that they just don't even know exist. Things that could actually enhance their mind. Things that could enlighten them. If they just read. If they just could think. If they just would think. A lot of not thinking going on. But artificial intelligence, I've actually had arguments, well, discussions with my son. Not my real son, it's my stepson. But I'm gonna start, I think I'm gonna start calling him my son. Because truthfully, I'm the closest thing he's ever had to a dad. And I'm actually starting to think that I haven't done enough to address that. I've done stuff because I thought about it, and I know that, you know, I know I'm an asshole. Because it's hard to do everything for everybody. You just can't do it. You just can't do it. But it's nice when you're appreciated, because appreciation is something that is also missing. There's not a lot of in this world. And it's nice when you meet people that appreciate things. Like Adam and Joni. They have a sense of appreciation. They appreciate things. That's why I respect them. That's why I admire them. And I don't feel sorry for them. And you know, I don't feel sorry for them because they don't feel sorry for themselves. Sympathy is a bad thing. I agree with Nietzsche. The Ubermensch, the Superman, is incapable of sympathy, because sympathy is destructive. It's an odd irony. The people that deserve sympathy, they don't freaking want it. And the people that want sympathy, the people that want people to feel sorry for them, they don't freaking deserve it. So, I don't know. I think I'm able to draw the line now for myself, because I've been in the throes of self-pity. I felt sorry for myself quite a bit over the years. I mean, hell, when the world, every time you start getting up, you see a hammer coming down on your head, you get knocked back down to the ground. It's easy to start feeling sorry for yourself. I don't now, though. I don't now. And one reason is because I'm 56 years old. If somebody came in that door right now and shot me in the head, so what? I've had a full life. I've lived a life. A lot of it was rough. It's been tough. But there's a lot in my head. So I'm not going away empty. So it doesn't matter. And that makes it so I have no fear. I'm alone in this world, just like we all are. Every one of us is alone. We have the will and the desire to congregate. We have the will and desire to be amongst other people. We like to hug. We like to kiss. We like to party. We like to listen to good music, especially live music. That's a good thing. We go to church. Well, I don't go to church. That's a whole nother day. And I'll explain that, but basically, I believe I live in a church. I believe our entire world is a church. This is a church. Outside that door is a church. God is everywhere. God is good. I actually don't believe in Satan. I think Satan is a manifestation of people, but I believe God is in all of us. God is actually a human thing. It actually says we're created in His image. Now, if that doesn't imply that God's in here and in here, what does it imply? Come on, people. There's no way that there's some omnipotent being up in the sky, in the clouds, in the heavens, looking down and watching us all. It strikes me as a little bit crazy when people say they have a personal relationship with Jesus. First of all, they crucified Him. While He's hanging on the cross, He's saying, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." That's an expression of love. Because He knew they were a bunch of fucking idiots. They didn't understand His message. They thought He was running around trying to be the Messiah or something. And He wasn't even about that. If you just read the story, actually just understand the story, He was just a wise guy that was trying to help people understand how it is to be a human being. That's it. And the Romans crucified Him because they thought He was running around telling everybody that He was their Messiah. And He didn't even say that. That was Peter and Paul and all the people that wrote the stuff afterwards. They're the ones that called Him the Messiah, and there was a second coming, and all that other stuff. Hell, the God in the Old Testament is mean and vengeful and vindictive. The God in the New Testament is represented by Jesus Christ, who was kind, loving, and forgiving. And sure, He got pissed off once in a while at the money changers. If you look at it, that's what they're actually called. They're called the money changers. Can you think about the Federal Reserve? Can you think about any bank you've ever been to? You know how many people make so much freaking money just changing money? Just moving money. They make interest. It's an aberration. If you ask me, that's maybe where Satan's partying. So sure, Jesus got pissed off. But Jesus was really kind of a Buddha. He was just trying to help people with a little bit of information to help them know how to live. Now, I don't really want to talk about religion. I mean, it's just not that's for another day. This is actually about artificial intelligence. And I'm trying to say that artificial intelligence, having a fear of artificial intelligence, is just bullshit. There's no reason to fear it, okay? Because there's people like Joni, there's people like Adam, there's people like me, people that develop their mind and develop their heart. Now, the human intelligence is composed of the mind and the heart. These two things work together. And we learn things. We go through our life. We raise children. We help them learn things. We take care of our grandparents. We take care of our parents. We interact in a way that's purely human. Do you think a machine will ever be able to do that shit? No, they won't. And if you want to start thinking that you can let a machine start doing your thinking, and you got your PDA, and you do your schedule, and you can do your day, you can go click, 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 click. You can make your money. You can take money from other people. You can sell them shit that's profit margin is so big that 5 people get to put money in their pocket. And it was just one person that made that thing. You got to look at the system. You got to examine the system. You got to read. You got to study. You got to think about your own mind. You got to quit neglecting it. Because if you don't have any references, when you encounter that situation where somebody's dying or somebody needs to be taken care of, or you yourself need to be taken care of, you need to know a way to ask for help. You need to be able to not feel sorry for yourself. It's hard to be courageous when you don't know shit. Because when you read, you find other people in this world that lived 50 years ago, that lived 200 years ago, 300, 400, 500 years ago, that actually took the time to write and leave something here for us. And if we have a complete lack of appreciation, we don't pay attention to that stuff, and we can't look at that and see that, oh, this happened just the same for people 200 years ago as it's happening for us now. I can't remember who said it, but somebody said, if you do not, then history will repeat itself. And it does. Because I've read history books. I've read archaeology books. I've read anthropology books. I follow nowadays I follow the ancient alien stuff, which is more bullshit. And you can actually see, if you get to a point, you can actually see that a lot of these stories, a lot of these fictional stories, are just bullshit. Because truthfully, it wasn't aliens that built the pyramids. Come on. It was people. It was busy work. It's why they had peace. Because the pharaohs knew how to keep people busy. The Romans knew how to keep people busy with gladiators. You know, and that movie Gladiator, that was bullshit. Hell, most of the time the gladiators didn't even die. You know, but I've talked to people and they think that, you know, it was always a fight to the death. And it wasn't. I mean, if you look at the history, I mean, they didn't want them to die. They needed them next week. You know, they had their pro quarterback. They had their Walter Paytons. They didn't want to kill him. They didn't want him to die. Too much money to be made next weekend. You know? Got to give the people a distraction. Got to give them some fun. pyramids, chariot races, football, basketball, baseball. You know, I just saw something the other day that actually laid it out, that baseball, that Abner Doubleday, guy that is credited with inventing baseball, was a 33rd degree Mason. 33rd degree Freemason. And if you actually look at baseball from the top down, there's Freemasonic symbols all over the baseball field. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, Abner was a Mason. It's cool, it worked out. I mean, baseball is the most intellectual thing that's out there right now. I mean, these guys actually have to think. I mean, you think it's just a simple ball, you know, they're throwing around. I mean, some people don't. I mean, my friend Mike loves baseball. I used to like baseball. I'm grateful that I've actually got to go to a live baseball game. Just one, but it was enough of an experience that I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep it in here, keep it in here. Artificial intelligence. The human brain works in a specific way. I actually started writing a screenplay about an artificial intelligence that kind of gets out of control, but because of its friendship with its creator, its relationship with its creator, it ends up working out. I mean, there's a lot of bad stuff that happens. The government comes down on him. He has to escape through a tunnel. But the artificial intelligence caused me, I mean, because I wanted to write with knowledge of my subject. I mean, if you're going to write something, you got to know about it. Most people, what they write is actually autobiographical. It's about themselves. I mean, hell, that's what I'm doing here. I mean, I've mentioned more other people in this one than I did the first one, and this is the second one. But I did a lot of research on the human brain. And it's kind of, you know, it's still sitting on the shelf. It's about half written, and I don't think anybody ever want to make a movie out of it. I think it's cool, but truthfully, I stole a lot of concepts from The Matrix and Johnny Mnemonic and, you know, things like that. But then Robert Heinlein, one of my most favorite science fiction writers, Robert Heinlein said, "A good writer has a great imagination. A great writer knows how to steal." So, I was working on this screenplay. I ended up reading half a dozen books on the human brain. Well, the human brain actually functions electrochemically. Okay, probably every other animal's brain functions the same way too, but they don't have capability, they can't talk, they don't have fingers, so they can't build things. I wish the dog could talk. I would love to hear what he thinks about things. But mammals have a brain, and their brains function electrochemically. I mean, this is scientifically proven through tests. Your neurons are actually floating in a fluid, and your neurons process information electrically. So, you know, when somebody says, "I feel like my brain's firing on all cylinders," it's kind of a real thing. But your those neurons, they're all floating around in there, all together, you know, but they're floating in a fluid. And then you have dendrites and I can't remember the names of those things. It's just too much in my head. But the neuron processes the information that you get, and they're neural pathways, because one neuron can't do everything. One neuron just has to process a piece of information. So when that neuron has to pass its information to the next neuron, which is going to add a piece of information, which is going to go to another neuron, which is going to add another piece of information, until you have a complete thought. Now we're talking thousands or millions of neurons in their brain, because they're tiny little things that process information. But you can't send electricity across fluid. You'd electrocute your whole brain. So what it does is there's a process where it takes that electrical signal that little tiny microscopic bit of thought, and it turns it into a chemical. These are neurotransmitters. The neurotransmitters are the chemicals that electricity is turned into. So there's a process that happens really freaking fast, where the electrical signal, that little tiny piece of a thought that's going to meet other pieces of thoughts, has to be turned into a chemical, because the chemical can get across that fluid. And then it's picked up by another neuron, and then processed some more, something added to it, and then it's shipped off to another neuron. So bam, 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 bam. This shit is going on in your head at all times. And most people don't even appreciate it. They don't take care of their mind. A lot of people take care of their heart, which sometimes that leads to them taking care of their mind. But people don't take care of their own brain. They really don't. Because they don't think. I mean, it's a miracle. It's a miracle, the human brain. These little tiny things, they're electrical. But then they turn into a chemical. So they can get to another spot that's going to process it electrically. So you're constantly firing these things. And your neuron fires. And then it turns into a chemical, goes to another neuron. That neuron fires. Boom, 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 boom. Neuron to neuron to neuron to neuron. And then at some point you go, damn, this is some good chili. You know how many neurons had to fire for you to say that? But people don't appreciate that. They don't take care of their minds. They don't read. They don't think. And that's sad. But it's those same people that don't think that are fearful of AI. AI is nothing to be afraid of. AI will crash and burn. I firmly believe that. Because I see people, I am grateful to a gracious God that I know these people, because I see things that I can admire. I see things that I can like. I see things that I can appreciate. And these things are things that there's no way a machine will ever be able to replicate. There's no way that a machine could ever have everything that I've ever experienced, that everything Joni's ever experienced, that everything Adam has ever experienced. Be able to process that the way that we do. The human mind is a miracle. So it pisses me off that people are afraid of artificial intelligence. It's just a tool. And it's not artificial intelligence. Predictive text is not artificial intelligence. Your Google Home, your Echo, you know, just the fact that you can speak out into the air and a little machine can answer your question because it's connected to a search engine is not artificial intelligence. It's data processing. That's all artificial intelligence will ever be able to do. I mean, hell, they're making sex robots, for Christ's sakes. People are out there screwing dolls. How stupid is that? Do you think artificial intelligence can ever be that stupid? See, that's the thing. You think about intelligence, you think about smart, and you think about stupid. Or ignorant. Because like I said, everybody's smart about something. But do you think a machine could ever be that stupid? Actually, it couldn't even ever be that smart to be that stupid. I mean, there's people out there with Down syndrome. Loving people. I mean, so much love in a lot of these people that are mentally handicapped. You'll find more love in them than people that are smart. But there'll never be a machine that could ever be as smart as a mentally handicapped person. It's not going to happen. And if we let it happen, then we deserve the Terminator. I'm going to stop here. because I think I said enough. I love y'all. Have a great day.